It's a bit slow, apologies, and looks like we are ready to go. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Members, thank you for joining me for the special meeting of Friday the 21st of January. I declare the special meeting of Council open and advise that this meeting is being conducted remotely. It will be recorded and streamed live to the City of Adelaide website. Please note that an audio and visual recording is being taken of this meeting. This means that your presence at and any contribution you make to the meeting may be collected, used, disclosed or published publicly by the Council, including transfer outside of Australia. Item 1 on tonight's agenda is acknowledgement of country. Council acknowledges that we're meeting on the traditional country of the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains and pays respects to elders past and present. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with the land and acknowledge that they're of continuing importance to the Kaurna people living today. We also extend that respect to other Aboriginal language groups and other First Nations who are present today. Item 2 on tonight's agenda is the acknowledgement of Colonel William Light. Council acknowledges the vision of Colonel William Light in determining the site for Adelaide and the design of the city with its 6 squares and surrounding belt of continuous parklands, which is recognised on the National Heritage List as one of the greatest examples of Australia's planning heritage. Members, item 3 is apologies and leave of absence, of which there are none. And item 4.1 is City of Adelaide COVID response, a motion on notice from Councillor Martin. Councillor Martin, there you are.
Yes. Do I have a seconder?
I can see your hand, and I'm going to have to use electronic hands because that's how I'm monitoring. So, but I'll take you as a seconder, but if we can use electronic hands, except when we vote, which I need to see you in person. If we could do that, thank you. Councillor Martin, please.
Yes, look, I'm aware that there is an alternative motion that's going to be proposed, and I will accept that alternative motion because it represents an expansion of this original motion and a great deal more detail that I think will be beneficial for all of our stakeholders. I may or may not have an opportunity to speak, but I just want to say how grateful I am to you, Lord Mayor, for convening this meeting following my request to do so, and how grateful I am for Councillor Kouros working with the administration to craft an alternative motion that incorporates much of what's here, but the additional measures that came in that address earlier this week, and which I think will go a great way to assisting our businesses. So I have nothing further to add.
So, Councillor, on that, did you want to withdraw your motion on notice and we'll go straight to the motion without notice? Are you happy with that?
Whatever you like. Or,
yeah.
Is it possible for Councillor Kouros just to move her motion?
Not until this is dealt with. So, because
it doesn't have to be voted on?
Well, it's actually come through as a motion without notice, which means it's a separate item on the agenda. So, if you want to withdraw your motion, then we go straight to the motion without notice. Okay. Yeah. Look, I'm happy to do that. And again, thank you, Councillor Martin, for the discussions that we've had. And I think, as you say, I think a lot of those have been incorporated and addressed, particularly through the presentation that we had on Monday from the administration. Yes, I'm very grateful to everyone, and just delighted to see what can happen when we all work together. It's great. Thank you. So if I can take it, I need you to withdraw your motion and then we'll go to the motion without notice. With the approval of my seconder, I'll withdraw it. So, Councillor Moran, I just need a yes or a no to support Councillor Martin. Thank you. I just need to hear it because it's being recorded. I do. Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Martin. I appreciate that. So that takes us to the motion without notice that was circulated by Councillor Kouros. Over to you, Councillor Kouros, to move your motion.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I move the motion that is before you, before everybody else. I've circulated it earlier for everyone to have a read through, so I'm seeking a seconder.
Thank you. In order, I have Deputy Lord Mayor, Councillor Abrahimzadeh, and then Councillor Mackie and Councillor Hyde to speak, I think. So, and Councillor Moran, I've got you too. So, Deputy Lord Mayor as a seconder. Councillor Couros, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lord Mayor. I want to thank, firstly, as well, all the elected members that voted to have the matter deferred. This gave the opportunity to be able to digest all the information that was given to us at the briefing by administration, and it was a really good insight to be able to work out how to move forward through this pandemic that we have at the moment. And businesses have been hit hard, our city's been hit hard, and it's a real opportune time to come together as we have to be able to go forward and work ideas and put things forward to be able to do better for our city. I also want to thank the administration for the input that I have added to this motion without notice. It was their insights that we'll be able to go forward, knowing that they've trialled a lot of these in the past and knowing what works. I've also worked with councillors who gave me their ideas and what they are their negotiables and they're not negotiables. And I thank everybody for their input. And I took on board the conversation that we had in the meeting, what people's thoughts were, and some emails that were circulated in regards to what they would like to see. So I've added all of that into this motion without notice. So it has been a real collaboration, and I really want to thank all councillors and you, Lord Mayor, for your support in putting this together, and I truly appreciate it, and I'm sure the city will as well. It's clear, very clear, that we need to boost our city and put it fast forward. If the support is needed, it's needed now. We've been hit with a variant that has that completely blindsided everybody, and it's great to see that the Premier will be lifting some of the restrictions, some restrictions next week on the 27th, and hopefully it will get better and better. Since we're looking forward to having the fringe, it's quite definite that this will be going ahead. It's always been put on, or has been put on in the past, in a COVID safe way, and I trust that the organisers will continue to do so. So it will be safe, and from that we can leverage a lot of what this motion without notice has to be able to expand further with what's happening with the fringe. But added to that, we're also putting in adding the voucher program back, which is fantastic, which will help. We're welcoming people back in the city, and we really want people to come back in. We want South Australians to come back in and support the local businesses, and we're really hoping that this is a way that they can come forward and take advantage of the voucher and be using it a lot within the city. Also extending the Reignite Adelaide temporary parklets. The parklets have proven to be so successful. It's outdoors, it lifts capacity.
That's 3 minutes, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Can I finish up?
You could just finish that, and then of course you'll get to sum up. Unless you want more time, you can ask for more time.
Well, I know that's a very extensive list, but the list goes on about on-street parking, how we can support that, UPark, and also investigating a way that we can support Rundle Mall and our traders in Rundle Mall with a sidewalk sale event. We can hold in conjunction with the parking offers. So it's a lot more that we can do during the time when restrictions can be further lifted. Thank you.
Okay. I have next Councillor Abrahimzadeh. Sorry, Deputy Lord Mayor. Apologies. Where are you? You're still muted, Deputy Lord Mayor. There we go.
Excellent. Thanks, Lord Mayor. I too would like to thank Councillor Couros, administration, and of course all fellow councillors for their input and collaboration into this. Lord Mayor, Councillor Couros did cover a fair bit of the motion and the intention behind it, but I really just wanted to highlight that there is no a single way to try and boost the economic activity in the city or try and bring visitors into the city. This motion has got a lot of moving parts and a lot of levers, and that's because that's what we need. We need some short-term stuff. We need some medium-term things. So when the Fringe or other festivals kick in a couple of months' time, we're ready to hit the ground running and support our traders when they need it. But we also have some longer term things, initiatives like the virtual mall or the virtual market. I can't remember the exact wording, but and even infrastructure programs, certain things that we need to make sure are in the pipelines, so that God forbid, if we ever come across this sort of situation again, we're ready to hit the ground running, and we're ready to support our traders and welcome visitors, encourage workers back into the city, and a range of things to try and prevent this from happening in the future. So what we have before us is an excellent range of initiatives, and hopefully with the support of all the councillors, we'll be able to hit the ground running and look at some short-term, medium-term, but also some long-term things as well.
Thank you, Deputy Lord Mayor. Councillor Martin, we've lost you for the moment. I have Councillor Mackie next. Oh. Sorry, Councillor, you're still on mute. Thank you.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. I'm speaking in support of this motion, but in so doing also acknowledging and thanking Councillor Martin for being the first cab off the rank with his previous attempt to call a special meeting. What we have now is an improvement, and I acknowledge that there have been many hands in this exercise. A couple of questions while I'm speaking to this, if I might. In part 1B, and I promise I'm not trying to be tricky with language or technicalities here, where it says to include all businesses who pay rates from 0 to 15,000, recognising that in fact the majority of small and micro businesses are simply tenants and therefore not the primary recipient of a rate notice. Do I take that, can I just have a clarification from, through you, Lord Mayor, from the administration regarding who becomes the beneficiary of this grant? Is it the building owner or is it the occupant of the building?
Thank you for the question. CEO, are you happy to take that question?
Thank you, through the presiding member. If you refer back to the report from 2020, it's businesses that will be the beneficiary. It's the business.
Thank you.
Councillor Mackie, it was, I went back through the item from the 10th of November 2020 as well, just to ensure that it was the businesses that were actually getting the assistance. Councillor Snape, I have you next. I'm just going to, sorry, Councillor Mackie.
Yes, sorry, I've a couple of questions in speaking.
Sorry, apologies. I thought you'd finished.
No, that's okay. Also, Part 2, Section Q, request funding from the state government. Again, this is just a small technicality. Would that not be better sitting under Part 3, which is where the requests for funding from state government, just so that there's no confusion between that which the ratepayers and the council business revenue streams are contributing versus what we're seeking from the state government?
That will be up to the mover if she wants to move Part Q under Section 3.
I don't think if that satisfies Councillor Mackie, I'm happy with that, but where it's positioned, but that's fine. But I don't think it makes much of a difference.
No, look, thanks, Councillor Kouros. Rest assured, it's not a deal breaker on my part. It's just there was a logic that part 2 were the actions that the council was taking, and part 3 was actions we're going to ask of the state government. That was all. And a question through you, Lord Mayor, for the administration. What would you anticipate from this now expanded and commendably expanded set of support package initiatives? What do we anticipate to be the actual impact against the current council 21-22 budget?
My understanding by toting it up this afternoon was around 7 million, but I will go to the CEO for some clarification. CEO.
Thank you, through the presiding member. We haven't actually completely finished the financial analysis of the quantum. Obviously, some is dependent on foregone revenue. Got a little bit of work to do, and I'm happy to report back to council potentially as early as at next week's meeting to give you an update.
Thank you, CEO, and through you, Lord Mayor. My last query / comment. There's no mention in the raft of initiatives specifically in a place enhancement sense for Hindley Street or the West End of Adelaide, where in fact the vast majority of long time and long suffering currently traders where a substantial number of long-suffering traders are located, and I certainly know from talking to traders in that area, they are feeling, they're feeling lost and lonely.
That's a comment. Yes,
oh, sorry, if I could just provide some clarity to Councillor Mackie on that. The Main Street activation programme commences on the 1st of February, and there's grant programs for Hindley Street associated with that.
Thank you, through you, Lord Mayor. Thanks, CEO.
Thank you. I actually had the order wrong, so and I'm not sure if it's Councillor Snape or Councillor Moran that put their hand up. So Councillor Snape, and sorry, Councillor Keary, you're next. I'll just, there we go. It should unmute now. Jenny, can you see if you can unmute Councillor Snape? Because no, you're not unmuted yet. There we go.
Apologies, I thought Councillor Carey was next.
No, you're next.
Okay. You're next, and then
it's both myself, and then after myself, Councillor Moran wanted to speak as well. So apologies for confusion. I just want to commend, well, thank you, Lord Mayor, and commend Councillor Martin for his initiative with this meeting, and also Councillor Kouros for the motion. And I also want to thank Councillor Kouros for including in part 2W my request in regards to the rat packs. As many people would be aware, the rapid antigen tests are free to those who are deemed close contact by SA Health. But at the moment, such pickup facilities are only available through drive-through options. And that obviously creates quite difficulty for a substantial portion of residents, but also visitors to the city who walk, use public transport and cycle. So for me, it's a no-brainer if we can use a council facility, offer that up to SA Health for their first walk-in pickup centre. That should be a great help to many who need that service. So I'd like to thank everyone for including that, and I will be supporting the motion, goes without saying. So thank you.
thank you. And now Councillor Moran.
Oh, yes. Look, I just wanted to ask a question first. The section 3, my understanding is that a special council meeting could only accept a motion without notice when it was the subject of the calling of the special meeting. Now, while I think they're all worthy things to ask the state government, could I have an explanation what they've got to do with COVID, the COVID response?
Certainly. I will go to CEO. Would you like to answer that? CEO, are you there? Yeah.
Yep.
Mick. Thanks, Mick.
Through you, Lord Mayor, this is Mick Petrovsky speaking. The response to Councillor Moran's question is that under the Act, when a special meeting is called, there has to be a purpose and an agenda provided. And the purpose of this meeting was ostensibly for Council's extended COVID response to assist with the economy and to get people back. So the contents of this motion without notice is entirely consistent with that theme. And it's also consistent with statements made by councillors at the original special meeting on Monday evening. Councillor Martin, who was the instigator in many respects of generating this meeting, calling for not just consideration of his motion, but also other ideas that might contribute to this overall response by the city.
Well, I'll accept that, but I can't remember any mention of Rundle Mall sound system. I can't remember any mention of Moonta Street having a cover. They just weren't mentioned. But if we're just going to ignore the rules, I'll just keep going. I would like to thank Phil Martin for his lead in this. I'd like to thank the administration for clearly what is an administrative recommendation. I think it does cover a lot of things. It's not perfect, but it seems that it covers most of the bases that I particularly wanted the town hall offices to be used in some way as a COVID assistance situation. So that's good. As I said, I don't really understand why these other things are thrown in. I think that's a bit silly, really. We should concentrate on the thing, and for what Mick Petrovsky was saying, that just isn't the case. None of these things were brought up in the special council meeting that Councillor Martin and others called. But the rest of it seems fairly good. The administration's obviously listened to the councillors in the special meeting called by Councillor Martin and incorporated this in this motion. So I thank the administration and I thank Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I have got, sorry, Councillor Kera, you're next. Thank you.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. It is a great suite of initiatives, and it most definitely should be commended. The only provision I have some queries or reservations with is 2.a, and that is pedestrian crossings. Just a question on that to the administration. What's the current status of that? How many crossings are present? I mean, not exactly, but roughly, how many crossings are presently automatic? And what would this mean? Would this, I mean, this proposal is for every pedestrian crossing in the CBD to become automatic. Is that how it's read? And is that realistically what it will mean? Will it mean a significant number of crossings will become automatic, which presently are not? Is it just any background information on what the status is with that?
Tom McCready.
Through you, presiding member, we have 97 sites, which in previous lockdowns or circumstances we put into automation. We're able to do that pretty quickly. There is a number of sites around main intersections that are automated. What we are looking at now is how we reactivate that. One is automation, the other one is signage. It will actually say that this is the process in place, and we're looking at that as well. The other one that we're very conscious of, which was probably a feeling of the the last process that we've done is that we'll probably look at automation during what is typically normal operational hours within the city, because at night times, naturally, we don't want the pedestrian crossings going off automated because it actually disturbs residents. So we're just working with our DIT colleagues to understand how that will be progressed. But effectively what we're looking at, Councillor, is 97 sites that we could potentially automate and do it during normal business hours and the weekend.
So of those 98, none of them are presently automated?
We have a number of automations in place. However, what is missing in those automated sites is signage. So naturally, people aren't aware that they're automated, so they still press them. So for likes of crossings outside of this facility, for example. However, it's very easy for us to activate that. But what we wish to do is follow that up with signage.
So the signage, and what sort of impost will the signage be? Is that physical signs next to the stoplights, or is it something as a sticker on the stoplight, or what does that mean?
Through you, presiding member, quite simply, we're looking at what is the most appropriate one, but what potentially would be a sticker, and we're just looking to see how we can also use multi-language in regards to that, so we inform people.
Okay, look, my concern about this one is that there's a trade-off here. Now, we obviously know the reasons why we want to switch to automatic for stoplights, but this is for crossings. This is proposing that so 97 roughly more stoplights will become automatic. My concern is that obviously that during non-peak periods, it will mean a hold up to traffic. It'll create inefficiencies potentially. That's the trade-off, and it means people will be sitting in their cars longer. Now that is deleterious to the notion of encouraging people to come to the city, because if they have a longer stay, if their vehicles are operating for longer, it's obviously not as good for them. So that's my concern. Again, to the administration, what would you say in relation to that concern? Is there nuance available within this this proposal that you can work with, or should it be? In your view, could it be optimized further to allow you more leeway to have some crossings, the major crossings, made automatic and the minor ones remaining manual?
Councillor, I'll ask you to just ask the questions through the chair, so
through your chair, sorry.
direct.
Yes.
Mr. McCready.
Through you, presiding member. I think what we will do is the motion before us, we can take away and work with that. Effectively, what we'll be seeking to do is how we optimise this process so it actually allows for vehicular movement, but also provides that level of safety and comfort and sanitation when it comes to approaching traffic signals and pedestrian crossings. As I say, predominantly the times that we're really conscious of is that basically 6 o'clock onwards, where there's less vehicular traffic within the city, and that's the time that we would be looking to deactivate.
Yeah. Can I ask the mover of the motion whether she's willing to maybe just change the language there to something like pedestrian crossings optimised, or sorry, major pedestrian crossings optimised to automatic, say. Something that gives the administration a bit of leeway. Mary, would that be okay? Or I don't want to have to ask for this to be taken in parts and whatnot and hold things up.
I'm just trying to understand what. Sorry, I don't mean to.
So all I'm proposing is if you say major pedestrian crossings optimized to automatic. I guess I'm saying just it gives the administration some leeway so that it's not a blanket every single last crossing, so that they can tailor it to traffic.
I get what you're saying, Councillor Khera, but I think at this point in time, I think I'd like to leave it that way so everyone's the perception, that we are keeping this city safe during this time of January to March. And I'm sure, we can probably...
Okay. Will you accept? Will you, in that case, accept taking this in parts for just that section, so that those who have concerns about this provision can vote?
Yep, that's
Yep.
fine.
Okay, so we can take that section out. Look, I'll speak against that section because the issue here is it's if you just go blanket and make every single last traffic light automatic, you will hold up traffic as a consequence. I think we can be safe in saying the facts are now established. This is not a virus that is caught from surfaces. This is an airborne virus. And although there are perceptions in place about that, I think that if we cement the idea going forward, that the problem we'll face is that we will cement the idea that people are catching illness from pedestrian crossing buttons. We will have a problem in reverting back to normal potentially down the track. And I think that ultimately the reason those buttons are there is because you will end up holding up 97 crossings is an enormous amount of traffic. So 3 p.m, 4 p.m, or non-peak times when there are no people crossing, you will hold people up and it will have an impact on the city. So I thank the mover for severing that one out, and I'll be voting. Obviously, for the rest of it, it's a great package, but that's the one I won't be voting for.
Okay, well, I'm going to try and avoid taking this, given there are 30 things on that page, one line by line.
It was just that one. No, sorry, Lord Mayor, it was just that one.
Okay.
So the request was just for that to be that bit. So it's in 2 parts, right? Everything else.
Well, everything it's actually in 3 parts. So okay, now I have Councillor Hyde. Just a moment. There we go.
Oh, thank you, Lord Mayor. I'm just noting that we're asking the state government for money, and I'm a candidate, a government candidate. I just wanted to declare a perceived conflict of interest, but there is no overlap with the area of my candidacy, so it is just perceived. And I just had a question just for clarity on that one, Lord Mayor. Is there so there's no ability to sort of divorce that pedestrian light section from the rest of the motion?
Well, we can. I can take that one out. What I don't want to do is do every single one as a separate voting item. Otherwise, we're going to be here till God knows what time, because that's actually procedurally, that's very difficult. So normally when I take it in parts, it's part 1, part 2 and part 3. If everybody is comfortable, I will take that one thing out separately. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah. I have Councillor Martin. There we go. I'm just good. You're unmuted.
It was just a question. I understand that there is an inability to provide a costing on the total quantum of the package, but in respect of the rebate on rates, could I have some explanation as to what is the quantum of the amount here, the upper and lower limits, and what was the rationale for limiting this to a ceiling of $15,000, and who typically does that capture?
Are you asking the CEO or are you asking the mover?
Well,
that came from the mover. So, well, I'll go to the mover of. Oh, actually, I can't. So it's. I'll go to the CEO to see whether she can talk about the quantum. As the mover said, this is based on the report that was item 10.8 on the November meeting, which had very clear eligibility for small businesses in it. I think there's been a lift in the ceiling. CEO.
That's right. Yes, through the presiding member, that's correct, Lord Mayor. When I went back to the previous report, it talked to from $0 to 10,000, which was a cost of around 3 million. Now we did a quick run on the numbers this morning. From $0 to $15,000, it's around, that takes it to around 4 million.
Is that, but that's based on being able to show a loss of revenue of 30%, which wasn't the criteria last time.
Okay, so that's the upper limit. So we're talking about, am I correct in suggesting somewhere around about 5% of commercial ratepayers?
I don't have that. I don't have it. I'm not sure, CEO, whether you have that data in front of you.
I didn't actually hear the question, Lord Mayor. Sorry, Councillor Martin.
That's around about 5% of commercial ratepayers would be eligible.
Sorry, no, I still can't quite hear it.
He actually said, does that mean about 5% of ratepayers would be eligible?
Through the presiding member, I think it's a lot higher than that. So it's small business that's the beneficiary of this. It depends how many owner-occupiers there are that run a small business. So the beneficiary is the business, not necessarily the ratepayer.
And just as a follow-up to that, does that necessarily mean that, for example, hospitality businesses like hotels would miss out? I'm aware that at least 3 around me pay rates of substantially, probably double that and more.
Thank you through the presiding member. Yes, it would. We would need to just check. So it's aligning with state government business support grants. And that does include hotel accommodation as well as hospitality, I'm pretty sure.
I think it's to complement the $40 million in grants that are currently out there for businesses. Yeah.
I understand that, but it's still limited to $0 to $15,000. So if you're paying, and this is what I'm asking, if you're paying more than $15,000, you don't qualify. Is that correct?
Correct. That's as it states at the moment. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you speaking now, Councillor Martin, or you just had questions?
No. Look, I spoke earlier. Again, I'm delighted that we are doing something, and something as comprehensive as this. And tickled pink that it's been suggested we should have a sound show again. As everybody remembers, we did have one. It was a delightful thing. I think down by the festival centre. So to have another one would be great.
Thank you. I will go to Councillor Ho. There we go.
Can you hear me, Lord Mayor?
I can, thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'll come up with a question first and then I'll speak to it. The question is like on item 1, number C. Is there any specific reason why it's like 27 December 2021 to March 2022? How are we actually going to calculate it like the 30% job, the period of this 30% job?
I'm happy to hand over to the CEO. Again, I will go back to when we looked at the report on business assistance once before. It's a similar assessment to the state government where you have to show a loss of revenue over that period of time, which is showing your revenue against previous year revenues, which is standard. CEO, is there anything, sorry, would you like to add and just make sure I'm correct?
Thank you through the presiding member. Yes, you are, Lord Mayor, correct. They must have a physical presence, be able to demonstrate eligibility, prove that the business is located in the City of Adelaide. The previous report was quite detailed in relation to the criteria in the application process. So we'll be using that as the basis to roll this program out.
Yeah, Lord Mayor, the reason why I asked this question, because there were quite a few businesses were newly established in earlier 2021, and somehow by the look of it, they would not be eligible to apply any of the rebate if they set up their business line in the early 2021. So it will be the case. Can I get a confirmation from CEO? Hello?
CEO. Yeah, it's just a slight delay, Councillor Ho. CEO, did you have a response to that question?
Thank you, through the presiding member. I didn't actually hear a question from Councillor Ho. Could you please repeat that, Councillor Ho?
Yeah, Claire. It's just like some of the ratepayers, like they actually established their business in early 2021. All right, and so it's a new business for less than a year. That means, by the look of this criteria, they will not be able to apply any of the rate rebate, because like they will not have any records, trading records, like last year at the same time.
Through the presiding member, so they need to be operating obviously from the 20th of December, and they would need to show that 30% loss of revenue from the 27th of December 21 to March 2022. My understanding would be if they initiated a business in the middle of 2021, they would be eligible, subject to demonstration of the 30% loss of revenue during that period.
So they
would need to have sufficient, they would need to have sufficient data to be able to show that loss of revenue from previous operating.
Appreciate that, Claire. Well, Lord Mayor, to me, firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that, like Councillor Martin, to call the special meeting. I mean, I can see the good intention behind, really appreciate it. However, like, I mean, to me, I just can't sign off a big blank check until I see Councillor Kuros put in such a detailed plan. I literally go through every item bit by bit. I mean, I can see that there's a lot of hard work has been put in. I must say, I really appreciate the hard work from either yourself, Councillor Kuros, as well as the administration. I'm all for it. All right. And one last thing I'd like to add on is like to urge the administration to make this application easier for people, for those like people who are already suffering, and also accelerate the process, because many of the business are already in their bottom line and they need our support straight away. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Right. Okay, I have got Councillor Knoll. There we go, top left. You move around every time somebody puts their hand up. You change your place on my screen. It's hilarious. There we go. Thank you, Councillor Knoll.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And thank you, everyone else, and I appreciate the collaboration that we have here, and it is a nice aspect when we're in a crisis that we can all come together, which is really critical. And thank you very much for the administration and also the briefing they gave us earlier this week, because those are the things that helped us to crystallize some of the ideas and things. And I do appreciate all of their wonderful, very specific work that particularly Councillor Kouros and Councillor Hyde have put into that. Now, I just think in that are a few other sort of comments, and that is that, yes, we put a very specific proposal together. And we are, in the sense, well, some of it's immediate, which is fantastic, some of it's medium term, and obviously some longer, so that we are putting together things, the responses that are appropriate. And I think that's been fantastic. So I think those things are important, and also working around the car parking situations and things like that also, because those are the sorts of things, impediments to the daytime economy, etc., that people always comment about. That is one of the reasons why they may not choose a city, because there also is our rhetoric around the city, because of people have an imagination around that. And the thing is that we are no more dangerous or no more likely to create issues than any other centre around Adelaide. And I think we need to change, and we need to highlight those things, because the city is a safe place to come. And we need to just ensure and encourage that. And we as business leaders need to make sure that we give comfort to people about their coming to the city, and taking advantage of all the support we're giving to our commercial sector. And we also have high quality business people in AIDA and the advisory committees and ANACMA. And I think we've got to make sure that we're using that intelligence as well, because part of the issue with the marketing, particularly of Arundel Mall, etc., which we're now putting a lot more money towards it, is ensuring that we are translating that into benefit for the traders, and they have suffered a lot. And I mean, to the degree the market itself, a food retailing space is, I would say, not quite as badly as impacted, but again, working with the people on the ground so that we are measuring that benefit that they're receiving. And I think too, the other component is working with state government, because again, until they relax these restrictions, all these, most of these initiatives won't really blossom, simply because people aren't able to use that and businesses aren't able to take the maximum advantage. So at least at a particular point, the state government needs to bring a more relaxed restrictions so that we can convert all this effort, and we are going to great expense.
That's time.
I just have just 30 secons.
Can I have hands, please? Show of hands.
Thank
you.
And so, and also what a lot that you have done is bring the events to the streets, our streets. And I think we need to remember that it's that direct connection to those businesses so that they are able to get that value out of them. So overall, I think it's been a great package, and I thank everyone for their contribution, and I look forward to it getting passed.
Thank you. I have Councillor Mackie.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Just a question for clarification. I did put it on the chats, but Jenny McPhee kindly suggested I raise it as a question in order to realising that people don't necessarily look at the chat field on Zoom. In section 2D, the value allocation of 250,000 for the lunch and dinner vouchers, and I absolutely think this is a terrific initiative. Traders love it, absolutely love it. Given the presentation that we had from Ian on Monday evening suggesting a redemption rate of around about 35%, and I can't, to be honest, recall whether that's the dollar value or the number of vouchers redeemed, but if we're prepared to allocate $250,000, which I support, for vouchers, that would suggest to me applying that statistical redemption rate, that we could in fact be printing up to $700,000 or thereabouts worth of vouchers in the expectation at that averaging of 35% redemption. And that would mean that we could get a lot more vouchers into the hands of a lot more people, and in particular, our residential ratepayers in the city. But of course, everybody's money is welcome and everybody's custom is welcome in our city food and beverage offerings.
Ian, I can see you there. Would you like to just make a comment in terms of the redemption, please?
Thank you. Through the presiding member. Thanks for the question, Councillor Mackie. So just to clarify, on the long lunch campaign, the redemption rate was around that 36%. But for the Dinner on Us campaign, the redemption rate was actually even higher. It was 49%, which is consistent with the Great State vouchers that the South Australian Tourism Commission ran, that higher redemption rate, which was positive. The way we do that, we manage that, we can manage it to the budget. So we put out phases of how we allocate the actual vouchers. So we can monitor that. We'll do a phase 1, and if we do a phase 2 and we see the redemption rates and we can see take up, but we can actually manage it. The way the system's designed, we can manage it to the budget that's allocated, if that makes sense.
Through you, Lord Mayor, thank you. That does make sense. All I would encourage, given the immediate urgency of this, is that we have a little bit of more courage than perhaps we have in the past in terms of the number of vouchers we put into circulation ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, would anybody else like to speak? If not, I'll speak before going to Councillor Kouros to sum up. Sorry, Councillor Hyde.
Is that working?
Oh, yes, it is. Just there you go.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. This is a really comprehensive package, and I think we can see that there are various aspects and stages to it, which ensure that we're not just thinking about some of our businesses which are the hardest hit with capacity restrictions and what have you, being hospitality, late night venues, and then probably retailers step down from there. But there are a whole range of grants available in the medium term that actually assist businesses with improving their shop fronts. Looking at things like the sidewalk sale, Lord Mayor, and the business, the outdoor sort of activation grant scheme. It's got a slightly different name in this, but to allow businesses to receive a grant so that they can trade in the public realm in a suitable way. And that, of course, aligns with another section in this motion which waives all the relevant fees for using that public space. That could be used by any number of businesses. I think it would be really interesting to not only see hospitality and retail using those spaces, but to also see if there are any hairdressers that want to cut hair outside, or accountants that want to set up a table and chair and do a quick sort of health check, and that sort of thing, Lord Mayor. So we're actually addressing the full range of businesses that we have in the city, particularly as well with the parking incentives as well. But we're also making sure that we provide targeted and really effective assistance to those businesses, small businesses, which are struggling now. I know the request at 1 in the motion calls it back in future as well, so we can actually reassess this scheme as it unrolls to see and to make sure that it is doing exactly what it's intended to do. I understand that was part of the logic from increasing it from 10,000 to 15,000. Just to the point that was raised before, I've got the original report in front of me, and it talks about I think over 7,500 non-residential rate assessments in the city of Adelaide or in that region, and it talks about 4,400 odd small businesses according to the last census, and that's the basis upon which they've made these projections. So if we take those two figures, sort of 7,500 odd and 4,500, it's actually the majority of the sort of commercial ratepayer base. But importantly, of course, it's going to small businesses, and a cash grant of up to $1,875 in order to help a business that's had a minimum of 30% downturn in revenue, I think would be very, very well received, while at the same time dealing with that issue of are we just going to be giving rates back to landlords without adequate safeguards or guarantees that those outgoings are then not going to be charged to the tenant in some form or another, or that they are going to be refunded where they've already been paid. So that fixes that problem as well. I'm really excited to see, and I'm grateful for the inclusion of things like the Shopfront Improvement Grant Scheme, of things like the $250,000 package to advertise our hotels in the city of Adelaide to people in South Australia. I think that was very well received, and I hope if we see another great state voucher come up soon, that we can really dovetail into that potential offering by the state government as well. So overall, this is
that's time.
And final sentence, the infrastructure packages that we're looking at too, they will help future-proof for future potential outbreaks or variants or God forbid other infections as well. So this is a really good package, and I commend it.
Thank you. Again, members, I'll just ask if anybody wants to speak before I speak. No? Good. All right. So thank you. And one of the things that I'm hopeful that this is possibly how we work for the rest of this year. Wouldn't it be lovely for us to work together for the rest of 2022? I think it's a very timely and strategic investment, twofold. One, in welcoming people back to the city in a very safe and responsible way. So the number of measures around both hygiene and safety measures, such as not having to activate the crossings. but it's also support for those small businesses that are currently falling through the gaps of the funding that's available. So the state government, as you know, has got 40 million out in funding that is mainly directed at tourism and hospitality businesses and gyms. I know that they are looking at other rounds of funding. Their current round only goes up to the 9th of January, but we are here for the city businesses, just as we're here for our residents. And so this will support all of those small businesses such as newsagents, dry cleaners, the shoe repairers, the hairdressers, and they are the ones that are in a lot of pain at the moment because they're heavily dependent on the foot traffic, and the work from home directive has impacted them greatly. I do thank everybody for their ideas and for putting forward and so that we have an overview. And I also do want to acknowledge the CEO and the team there for that very rich data that you provided us on Monday. There was a lot of food for thought in there, and actually understanding both the traffic movement and the spend movement within the city. It's been incredibly valuable. As you may all be aware, the Premier announced today a return to work date of the 27th of January for 25%. While I welcome that announcement, I am waiting for it to be 100% return to work. We know that 1 in 4 staff members is going to go some way to lift the city, but certainly we need more people. As Councillor Knoll said, the timing of this is great. We have immediate response, plus the next 2 months, plus setting up for future success. And those legacy projects that were put forward, many of them by the administration, I think is going to set us up a landscape in the city that is going to actually be event ready and ready for our businesses to expand and contract over the years to come. So I do thank everybody for that. I am going to, I think that was all. Oh, I did actually also want to mention some of the things that were in Councillor Martin's motion on notice, such as the work we're already doing through the community development program. So it was great to focus on that and understand from the response from the CEO that that work is ongoing, and there's a great program of support for those vulnerable people in the city. Also that our hygiene cleansing is continuing in all of those traffic areas. And of course, that we have ongoing support for our businesses and ratepayers that may need assistance with legal, property, finance, or even mental health through the wellbeing program. I am going to hand back to Councillor Couros to sum up. Thank you, Councillor Couros. I know you put a lot of work into this, as did Councillor Martin before you, but this is a really comprehensive motion without notice, and I do commend you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and it's good to see that it looks like it's going to be receiving a lot of support, and I do appreciate that from all the elected members. In summing up, I just want to say that it's so important for us to, as leaders, to be able to have the correct language for people to come into our city, and encouraging people that we are doing everything that we can to ensure that we're cleansing and we are on top of everything in regards to what is needed to be able to walk freely around in the city. We have the biggest open air shopping precinct, Rundle Mall. I have been amazed at the amount of people that have been in local areas and suburban streets. They are busy, so there isn't no reason why you can't come into the city to enjoy the cafes and the hospitality that is on offer. As the work that the administration have shown, you know, we are reliant on visitors coming into the city for the economy. So I'm asking all South Australians to come into the cities, support local, support the community, and it's really important that we have our correct language and that there's no doom and gloom. It is not a ghost town. It is a city that is vibrant and ready for you, and there are people there, and businesses run their business really well, and ensuring that proper hygienes are in place for people to feel safe. So it's safe. Come in, come and enjoy, and I hope that this gets a message across to everybody that we're doing the best as possible to ensure that. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, members. We will go to the vote now. I will do this in sections. So I'm going to do the entire motion with the exception of 2A. So that's everything with the exception of 2A. Oh, sorry, I just lost you all. Hang on one second. I'm not sure what just happened then. Did you change something? Sorry, one moment. I've just lost my screen. I don't know why. Apologies, members. I've just closed this out. There we go. Now I can see you all. Yay, technology. Members, to the vote on section 1, 2, with the exception of 2A and 3. Those in favour? Those against? That is carried. And I will now go to the vote on section 2A. Those in favour? Those against? That is also carried. Councillor Kerr, did you vote?
Division.
Councillor Kerr, did you vote? That was against? And sorry, Councillor Snape, did you ask for division?
Yes, division, please.
On 2A?
Yes, please.
Okay. Could I have, and Jenny, could I have the rest of it recorded as unanimous, and while you do the division on 2A?
Certainly, Lord Mayor. Council members, division has been called on part 2A of the motion. Would all those in favour of the motion please raise your hands and keep them up until all names have been called? Councillor Couros, Councillor Donovan, Councillor Mackie, Councillor Snape, Councillor Moran, Councillor Ho, Councillor Martin, and Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you, members. That concludes this evening's special council meeting. I thank you all for your attendance, particularly on a Friday afternoon. Councillor Martin, enjoy that sailing. I hope it's beautiful down there. I'll see you